everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and I have another watercolor workout video for you. This is actually the first page I did in my new Arteza watercolor art journal. This is a 8.5 by 5.5 approximately. Cute little journal, has 110-pound cold press watercolor paper in it, and I think it's something like 70 pages or 80 pages or something like that. So yeah, good little journal for watercoloring or for mixed media as well, because it is a heavy paper and it will hold up well to wet media. So I've been doing some pages, some sketches in styles of artists that I follow on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I actually took a class at some point from the person whose style this is. Her name is Joanne Sharp, and she does lettering. And she's the first person I ever heard say, hey, put your own writing in your art journals. Don't do stickers and letters from, scrapbooking or whatever. Write in there because that's part of your story. And I've never particularly enjoyed my writing, but I've been doing it ever since, and it's been a few years. She also talked about how you could enhance your writing by widening parts of it, widening just the downstrokes, adding little flares at the end, curly cues or whatever, or just, adding stuff to it to make it more interesting and more like a graphic look than just your writing. So that's what I do whenever I use my handwriting as a title or whatever. This quote is actually from one of her pieces, and I thought it was really cool. I like it. So, and it's something that I need to hear frequently. I get inside my own head. I should be living more in the moment and paying more attention to everything around me. And I need to slow down. I need to do self-care. So I thought it was great for a first page in this journal. A good place to start. So I actually did this page early in the morning before the live stream last Thursday, just to try out the new journal and try out the paints and whatever, get started, because I knew I was going to be live streaming doing these things. So this was when I did it. And I did record it for a video for a later date. So that's what this is. This is the third watercolor workout video in a row, so I hope you're not getting tired of it. But I just wanted to show them all separately and let you know what I did. So instead of doing the watercolor first and the pen work after, which I did on a couple other videos lately, I did the pen work first. And I'm using, of course, my acrylic paint pen, a Posca pen, and a fine tip to do this pen work. It's acrylic paint, so it dries permanent, so there's no problem with watercoloring over the top of it. It's not going to run or anything. You do have a few seconds to blend a Posca pen while it's still wet. Sometimes you'll see me do that in some of my mixed media. But once it's dry, it's permanent, and so this works perfectly fine. So that's what I did for this very first page. What else was I had something in my head I was going to say, and then I immediately forgot what it was. Distracted. But I do love the quote, and on her piece she did have cone flowers along the edge and a border, which I ended up doing the same type of thing. So really this is kind of almost a copy. The colors are different. Obviously my handwriting is different than hers, but really it is a copy of something that she did. So I'm giving her credit. Good job. I like what you did so much that I copied it. For those of you who are on Pinterest, I do have a Pinterest account, and I do have boards called things like For Inspiration. And when I see something that I think is interesting by another artist, I will pin it there to give me inspiration. inspiration doesn't necessarily mean that you've copied exactly what they did. It just means that you have used what you saw to inspire you to make art. I know that a lot of people watch my channel and then get inspired to go make art. But if you're doing a copy of something like this, which is fairly close to what she did, definitely always give credit to the person that you got the idea from. That's just common courtesy. Not to take credit for things that were not your idea. So it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Has someone taken credit for my thing and not given me credit? Oh, yes, many, 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 many times. So here we go with the watercolor. In this plastic pan, there are some core watercolors. There are some Soho brand watercolors, and then the ones on the other side are Daniel Smith. And so this is a little palette that already had paints in it that Peg sent me. She was changing palettes, and this one doesn't have the removable ability of taking the pans out and putting them in something else to travel or whatever. So she didn't want it anymore. So she sent it to me, and I was happy because it has colors in it that I don't have. So always excited about getting some new colors to try out, and especially on this watercolor, fancy watercolor journey that I'm going on with Peg. So that's, I guess she really wanted me to do it because she sent me the stuff to do it. So pretty smart. I'm using a Royal Langnickel Zen watercolor brush. I like these because it has a metal handle instead of wood, which when I leave a wood one in the water accidentally, it gets swollen up and ruins the handle and peels the paint and everything. So I like having acrylic or metal handles on my paintbrushes. Although with my watercolor brushes, I don't abuse them as much. I don't just throw them in the water and leave them overnight because I'm very careful to use these brushes only for watercolor. So this one's probably a number 8 is my guess. It's a round tip, so it's got a fat amount of bristles at the base, and then it goes to a very fine tip so I can apply paint in a very careful way. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I mean, sort of. Watercolor, maybe doesn't like to stay in its spot as much. I am doing this in a dry brush technique. This isn't wet and wet. I'm picking up with a wet brush the paint. Also, I've spritzed the paint with water before I started to get it started because, of course, it dries out. It's dry. And I need to get it moistened up and ready to go with my spritz bottle first. I decided to make my flowers purple because why not? Purple is the best color, right? And I'm adding in a little blue as well. Just trying out these different colors. You always should swatch your watercolors because you can't really tell what they are in the pan. They're so dark in comparison to what they come out with. However, this pan was already swatched for me by Peg, so I didn't have to do this one. I did add these colors, however, to my large swatch book so that I would know that they exist. For the background, I'm going to do a wet in wet technique, and I put some water on there and then put the paint in, dab it in, and let it kind of wick and spread itself anywhere that the water is. It gives it a more interesting look. So that's what I wanted in the background. I'm trying to avoid the letters and leave a little bit of white space around the letters. So hard for me to do. I don't like to leave white space anywhere. It's just not my thing. But I'm trying. This is a very bright yellow. Kind of different than any of the other ones I have. I think I do end up adding a little bit of a darker color in with it. I can't remember now at this point. It's been a while. But yeah, that's what I did. So I hope you guys are enjoying watercolor workout. You can use that hashtag to search around on social media and find other things that people have made. Peg has been doing it all month. I got a very slow start. Other people in the Art Joy of Sharing group are also doing it, and you can find, if they've used the hashtag, you can find their pieces. Also, you can, of course, join the Art Joy of Sharing Facebook group. It is a art community where we share our art with each other, and you can ask questions in there and things like that. So it's just a kind space for people who enjoy doing things like art journaling and other types of things can share their art. There's even a few professionals in there or semi-professionals that do share their art. However, we don't allow selling. So if you think you just want to join that group to sell your art, that's not what we're about. It's a support community, not a place to sell. So I will put the link to the group in below the video if you would like to join. You can ask to join. Make sure that you answer the questions at the beginning. When you ask to join, there'll be some questions to answer. So I'm continuing to put the yellow. I think I still haven't gotten to the point where I put another color with it. I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did. Let me look at the page. I have the book right here. Oh yes, I think I added in some pink. And then the pinkish magenta color mixed with the yellow and made kind of a warm yellow or orangey type color. So that was nice. Gave it a little bit more interest. Also coordinated with the cones of the cone flowers. So yeah. This is a very simple page, extremely simple. Not fancy. So when you're doing this, you need to make sure when you're putting the second color in to blend with the other color, you need to make sure that the area is actually still wet. I did end up with a splotch right there in the middle because that paper right there was not moist anymore. I guess it dried. Of course, here in Arizona, everything dries really fast, super fast. So I did have a splotch, but I'm not too worried about it. Doesn't matter. It's an art journal. So I'll be making more pages in this journal. This one is just for watercolor, nothing else. So there will be more watercolor workout pages as we go on through the next month. I think we're still talking about watercolor next month in Art Joy of Sharing. So keep a lookout for those. If you're enjoying this video or this video series, please give me a thumbs up. Of course, that helps YouTube's algorithm know that this video is something that people find valuable. Also, you can leave me a comment or question. You can share this on Pinterest or on Facebook. You can tell your friends about my channel. Tell your relatives about my channel. Tell your neighbor about my channel. Anybody that you think might be interested in art or art tutorials or processes. Tell them about my channel because that really helps my channel grow, and I'm trying to grow it. One of my goals for this year is to really grow. So I hope that happens. I'm doing everything that I'm told helps that, but I think really just word of mouth and, people liking my channel and commenting on my channel is really what makes a big difference. So thank you for that. So I think the only other thing I did, I'm just kind of adding some more of that pink around here and there, jazzing up that background a little bit. I did kind of work more on the border. I thought it was looking pretty weak, and so I thickened up the lines in some places and added like little hash marks and stripes and filled in some spots or whatever at the end. And I did add I think I added white pen too as well. Here I am just drying everything off and getting cleaned up. And then, yeah, here's where I'm adding some thicker lines, thinner lines. hash marks and dots and stripes and whatever I did, I don't even know, to my border to make it a little bit more interesting. This is something that Joanne Sharp does too on her borders, so I remembered that from the class. I think it was actually a class in Lifebook. Lifebook, I took that in I think 2015. It's a year-long class, and there's a lot of different people who contribute, and I believe that the project or class that I took with her it was within Lifebook, so it was one of the lessons in Lifebook. I think in 2015, so it's been a few years since I've taken Lifebook. Probably just getting started out in mixed media, actually. I think the very last thing I did was to add some white Posca pen dots on the flowers. That's the other thing I did, I believe, was to add white dots, just little dots. Sometimes dots really add something to your composition, just little dots. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I think that that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching, and there will be close-ups of the project at the end. Bye-bye.